Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Path of Exile. We're playing in the Incursion League as a solo self-found hardcore Arc Trapper. We find ourselves in the Temple of Decay. Today we're gonna pay a visit to Arakaali and wrap up Act 7 and continue onwards to Act 8. It's a level 54 area, I'm level 61 myself, so there's a little bit of a level and power difference there. But I think even at the exact same level, we would have been pretty darn powerful for the content. It's always a little bit of a creative run through to find the exit. Sometimes you stumble into it, sometimes you don't. The only difference is, of course, just how many enemies you will kill along the way. Vaal Orb. I like Vaal Orb. Oh, here, I have some traps for you. There we go. Oh. Shrine room, that means lots of enemies. Lots of ranged shooting enemies, of course, makes it fun. Because evasion works rather well with dealing with large groups of shooters. There's a hero there. Snowbolt. That's new. Unfortunately, they were not strong enough to resist me for too long. And look at that, we found ourselves on overhauled. So, what are you doing? Sacrificial chamber. Okay, sure, it's not connected yet, but let's upgrade it anyway. It's gonna be fun. If you put a lot of effort into it and then just don't gain access, that could be fun. So upgrading is always the top. And you once again die before you can get your thing off. Don't think there were any doors left to unlock. Because this is the inner room. Actually, there is a seal down there. And we found a door. Okay, so it's just gonna be for the internal connectivity. Sure, fine. For the workshop, yeah. I think once again we can get something that resembles a full clear. That actually looks like a full clear. Marvelous. See, what's the internal connection here? Redundant, but sure, now we have it. A jewel, a ring, ooh, amethyst ring. Unfortunately, it doesn't really do all that much helpful. Mana regen is the best mod on there. Okay, so let's continue the journey towards Arakaali. Dude on the bridge, Blight Blades. He is no more. Poor Blight Blade, just never stood a chance. So, those spiders, it seems like they die before they even realize they actually are close enough to me to bite. I suspect my tone should change by the time we get to maps, because of course then you usually bump into the power curve where while leveling you're often overpowered, and then somewhere in maps you catch up to your actual power level and the monsters will start hurting. If you think you're still on the oh, I'm overpowered side, that was an interesting thing. While actually you're not, that could end in some interesting character deaths. A spider was creeping up on me. Look at that. Bottom left is a way to the entrance, so that is good. Workshop, might as well just upgrade it. Yeah, okay, so top one for the upgrade and then bottom left for the doorway. Okay. Took a little bit of damage there. Bear. Arc. Die. It's a very, very simple recipe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, Okay, 22 seconds. Should give me some time to just run around getting stones. Got my stone, so I'm good here. And also plenty of time to just walk onto the doorway. Especially since those doorways have a habit of being guarded by portable time extensions, also known as monsters. And we are done here with 10 plus seconds to spare. Happy, happy, joy, joy. And at least the upgrading work here was not in vain. Let's see, anything in here? Lore bit, that always seems to be a good indication. Also, usually, this is kind of like a pyramid, so going in one way, you probably have to exit on the other way. So that's usually a decent rule of thumb to keep in mind for navigation. Ooh, look at that. Let's see. Spiders popping out. Just put down a nice trap there. Then once they set foot, they explode. And then the spiders are no more. Ooh, arc went up. Nice. It's always nice when your main skill gem levels up just before a boss fight, allowing you to do even more damage. Currently got 5 traps outstanding. So nada. So just over 1,000 listed damage per hit. I think we went up by about a third from placing down all the different traps. Yeah, let's see, at 23, 1500. Okay, so that's actually 50% more damage. Hey, Minara. Yep, I'll take those boots. And are we gonna go that way? I think we are. So over here, take a left. Don't get hit by the archers. Spiders, all the same. And then a staircase down. But it's still, because we got so much evasion layered on top of each other here, the health pool, it does feel sufficient, even though it's drastically less than what my previous characters always had. Oh, let's not pick up very large items. But it is important to have mobility on your side, and that is something that might not have done entirely correctly with some of my previous evasion-based characters. So once again, this is a very different character than what I usually do. That's also one of the reasons why I did it. I've always wanted to play a trapper simply because I haven't played a trapper. And of course, whenever you play a new style that you haven't played yet, there's some room for growth and discovery. But I do suspect more life is gonna be incredibly helpful later on in our career. Simply because every once in a while you have to face tank a large slam, or you accidentally end up face tanking a large slam. So you might as well just have the largest possible buffer against it that you can. And there we are, Arakaali. So let's refresh the golem and then do this. Okay, decoy. Okay, that choked up a little bit. Wow, did I? Her health went down so fast. She might actually be dead, or is she really strictly okay? Because I think her health went down to below 10%. Like that. Yeah, she's dead. Wow. Wow. Oh my. This is becoming kind of fun. Just laughing at bosses. What does she do? Reduce damage taken over time, reduce a chance to avoid lightning damage. Yeah, because that's exactly what you want from a spider. Well, for now, the stun protection seems like it might be helpful. Well, we're relatively low life, so then stun is of course a little bit more of a risk. So, next, well, we're only 10 minutes in, so as I said, next up is gonna be the Witch, the Edere Doctor. And there's an alpha here, and there's a lot of enemies here, so let's just trap the place and then have a quick look at where exactly you want to send me. To the vaults. I like vaults, they have monies in them. Yeah, we're gonna just upgrade it, and then that is that. So, upgrades to the top, loot to the pocket. Okay, bear. Not really strictly required, I think, but it's helpful. It is a massacre. Poor Vaal people. All they wanted was to build a temple, worship their gods. What am I doing? Murdering them. Well, that'll show them. So upgrade that. 2 incursions remaining. The only one unconnected is this chasm up here. I think this is pretty decent. Anything in here that looks particularly helpful? No, not really. So let's just push forwards. Wait, we only have 2 more. Yeah, so that actually is a pretty decent setup for a next episode where we could do a temple run. Because of course we have reached a new act, and then of course you start a new act with a new temple run. That's sort of kind of how it seems to be playing out now. There's a abyss up ahead, but oh, it's actually up on the wall. That's fine. We will climb up on the wall. We will fight the abyss. And look at that. And it's going forward. That's also helpful. Just more enemies to trigger the traps off of. Don't think it's gonna be all that noticeable really, if there are enemies here or not. Oh, the sheer amount of overconfidence. It is not healthy. But acting all scared and cautious doesn't feel appropriate to the power level of the build either. It's also nice because of the whole arcing nature of Arc. Well, no, that's what the skill is called. Something like an abyss is great. You can just throw the traps along the line, and the monsters that crawl out, they will trigger Arc, and it is just gonna blaze forward and hit the bosses that spawn out of the chasms. Pretty efficient. Okay, a little bit of evasion and life, and we're just gonna ramp that up. We also got more jewels. Put blade, sure, why not? What's on the jewel? Accuracy rating and damage on bow attacks. Very helpful. That was sarcastic, by the way. Jewelry, if you don't want to reroll them into infinity, they're just going to be a gamble like a lot of other things. Nice thing is you can reroll them. You can also do the, I think 5 or 6 for 1 recipe. If you got 5 or 6, I always forget exactly which of the 2 numbers it was. But if you have that number of the same jewels, so for example, if you got blue searching eye jewels, you sell 6 of them. then you're gonna get one random one back, with the item level being equal to the lowest of the item levels of the items that you sold. So that's a way to reroll jewels. The abyssal jewels actually have multiple tiers, as far as I remember. The regular jewels, they don't have tiers. Their mods are just the same. So for regular jewels, it's perfectly fine, because there's no downside. Ooh, this one has some resists on there, and then we get claw damage. Boo-hiss. Also works for rares. If you just have a couple of the same rare Viridian jewels, you get a rare Viridian jewel back. So that's one of the reasons for just keeping your jewels around, because you can then reroll them if you're just completely out of luck on finding good stuff. Still got the 6-socketed Crimson Raiments, by the way, that we found a couple of episodes back. Just been rolling it just to see if I could get something helpful out of it, but at some point it's just gonna get out leveled, and then it's just not worth the currency sink anymore. That's always the downside of using some currency on early, or too much currency on early game content. It just becomes outdated fast enough. Now, if you got some Scours and Alks to spare, why not? Okay. Sewer time. There's gonna be a lot more chaos damage here, so I gotta be careful of that. It slips underneath your energy shield, but I got a health regen here, so to a certain degree I can counteract it, and my chaos res, it's only -7, so I've had it worse before. Barracks, we can upgrade that one to tier 3, so that's what we're gonna do. And then, for the fun of it, we're gonna connect the chasm as well. Though, actually, I'm gonna ignore the chasm. I'm gonna connect it to the hatchery on the right. So, upgrade, and then the right-way door. And then we'll just go into the portal while fumes are fuming. You are dead. Haha, that is a final upgrade. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Stone, please. Oh, let's take a small step back here. I must say that I'm actually happy with the unintended synergy between me throwing way too many traps on the floor and the damage increase that we got from the Ascendancy upgrade in Cruel Lamp. Because in that way, more traps on the floor equals more damage dealt per trap, and therefore suddenly my maybe slightly less efficient habits totally justified. It's always nice to be able to justify bad habits. No, 2, 1, no, stone. Ah, so close, so close.
Orbs of alchemy.
Well, gave it a valiant effort, and it doesn't really matter in the end. Got a little bit of stuff out of it. Let's just pick up the other items. And there's that. Let's look for the way there. Come on. They were body blocking me. Silly things. Okay, so you notice the life is ticking down a little bit. If I'm standing in the middle of those chaos clouds. Got some life regen whenever I trigger traps, so that will offset it to a certain degree. Of course, once the monsters run out, that debuff is gonna run out as well. Instant kill. I like it. Trap it up the bazoo, then explode the trap. Okay, there are the living aberrations. Ah, just instant murdered them. Happy fun times. So we found Alva, we found the area uniques. Let's not step into that, please. Yes, like that. And now we can move on with our lives. Should be a exit of the area soon enough. Yeah, like that. This last bit of the layout is always the same, I think. And now we have Duidris Cesspool. Golem is a little bit disheveled, so let's fix that. And then there is another Alva. That is one more Alva before we go. Room is clear. And of course, then things pour in. Flame Workshop. Let's upgrade it. I'd rather have that than the temple. Okay. That was interesting. My life went down quite a bit. So if we change it, we get traps. I'm not a big fan of traps, so we'll just upgrade it. There's no upside because it's only going to be a tier 2, so the end boss is going to be stronger. And that's it's okay. We accidentally killed the architect. I thought we still had to walk towards the architect. Turns out I was murdering him. Also the siphoning trap. Because of the high degree of clear speed that we are achieving here, oftentimes don't really need it. So I honestly had thought that the playstyle of the build would end up being much slower, much more methodical, rather than just rampaging through everything. Okay, and there we have it all way. So just internal connections. Oh, actually connected it to the chasm. That is fun. So now everything is connected after all. Happy, happy, joy, joy. Ooh, Vaal Grace went up, so that is 62% still. And we got a couple of items. And everything else I'm just gonna ignore. Looking for Duidris. So if we encounter Alva more today, then I'm just gonna ignore her, because we're gonna trigger her from the hideout. Fagan, you wanna get knocked down really quickly. Well, we can arrange that. Hello. I don't even bother pre-trapping this anymore, just because it's just such an embarrassment for him. Right, it's free master experience. Don't say no to free master experience. Especially not when Fagan turns out to be your hideout dude for the season. And then over there is where Duidris resides. Hey, looks great. And into the cauldron we go. Crank the valve. Throw traps all over the place. Let's put some decoys up. You trigger something. You die. Okay, she's highly mobile. That's gonna be problematic. Maybe just crank the valve again, just so she shuts up a little bit. I'm still pretty nervous about her because in the beta for 2.0 she was pretty nuts. Or 3.0? Was it 3.0? Yeah, it was the 3.0 beta. She was pretty nuts. So, still just not trying to just keep the phases from getting too far out of hand. But turns out, this was doable. She was more of a fight than Arakaali, funny enough. I think there's also a good amount of progress. So we can have a chat with the folks in town. You are sending me onwards, you are giving me something. We have one of those, so I'll just grab another one of those. Just to keep it symmetrical. Is this good? Is this happy? Not enough life. The resists, it's only 26% bonus. This one has no life. Wow, it has no life. It has 3 to all resists, so that is 9.19, so that's 28% in total. In terms of raw resists, slightly lower. This one also has a good implicit, but it does have a little bit of life. This might not actually be a weird trade. Simply because of the added life. And I have the option of crafting another prefix on top of this. So let's have a quick look. Is this going to mess up my resist? No, it's not going to mess up my resist. And my life goes from 2370 to 2428. So that is 58 points of extra life. And I can still craft a prefix on top of that. So let's have a quick look. Not just ending the episode relatively early, so might as well just do a little bit of random crafting at the end. So let's have a look. So the old one had mana. Mana is always a thing. All the bonuses to energy shield are going to get penalized by 30%, so maybe not the most efficient thing to spend points on. Did I ever actually get Katarina? No, I didn't. Okay, so then the Blushing Font really is the only thing. Katarina also sometimes has weird random bonuses to items that are not specifically cast or implement, so it always throws me off because I never really remember what exactly Katarina does. In this case though, I think restoring the mana that we had here, loosely restoring it, probably okay-ish, 22 mana, so I don't lose too much of that. So my passive regen still remains roughly the same while gaining more life. And I lost a little bit of net resist, but I was overcapped, so that is one of those nice things you can flip around with it. And I've got even more dexterity now than I had before, over 200 even. So it's going to be very good for boosting those green gems, and again just loosening my dependency on things. And oh, we got an essence here as well. 20% movement speed and boots, so this is not the tier you want because it is rubbish. Or at least it is not enough. Alpha Valai already has the next quest ready. For now though, I'm gonna thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you again next time when we dive into another temple. Bye bye.